Hello and welcome to CRIVLOG TV, where we make sense of the human mind. My name is Aerez Batat, and in this video I'm going to list 3 things you can do right now to start overcoming your cannabis dependency. Let's begin. Hey, welcome back. My name is Aerez, and I'm an author and a metaphysicist, as well as the founder of Consciousness Research Institute. I've researched the impact of cannabis on the mind for over a decade, and I have first-hand experience with cannabis dependency. So everything I'm telling you here is either first-hand experience of either myself or people I've worked with. The first thing that you can do if you think you are dependent on cannabis is to eliminate it from the house. And essentially eliminate it from your senses. Desire is stirred by the senses. Imagine that you are on a diet and your partner every day when you come home brings your favorite dessert. How successful is your diet going to be? Not so much, right? When we see something, when we smell it, when we think about it, then the desire comes up. A lot of people who smoke cannabis on a regular basis know that when they travel abroad and they absolutely know that there's no way they can access cannabis, boom, after a day, the desire is gone. They might still suffer from, the mind still might be cloudy. There's some mental side effects for maybe a week or two, or maybe just a few days, but the desire itself is not stirred unless there is a possibility. And it's the same with cannabis. Now, what can stir the desire? Everything. If we look at the little box where we store the cannabis or the paraphernalia, that can stir the desire. The specific hour in which we smoke on a daily basis, the desire can just come up because we're used to smoking or to consuming it in some way, shape, or form in that particular hour. But if the cannabis is not around, then we can just let a little bit of time pass and the desire goes away. Desire is always immediate. And so if we wait a little bit, it's gone. If we really want a hamburger, if we wait half an hour, we might not want hamburger anymore. Maybe we've eaten and the desire is no longer there. And so the best way to fight desire is to wait. But if you have cannabis in the house, then that's a problem, because if it's there, it's just like, okay, I'm going to do it, and boom, there's a great chance that you just might go and do it. So try to get it out of the house, try to get it out of your area, try to let go of the paraphernalia, so the chances that you might have a weak moment are diminished. And if you have somebody in the house that still smoke cannabis, you might want to have a discussion with them. Also, today it's a little bit hard because in places where there's legalization and they grow more and more every day, it's just everywhere. You drive back from work and you see the cannabis store, and you see signs for it, and you see advertisements in some places, even on TV. So it's getting harder because the desire is being stirred by these things. So you might want to consider maybe taking a different route home so that you don't pass by the cannabis store. Maybe you want to stop hanging out with people who smoke cannabis on a regular basis just until you sort out your relationship with the substance. Now, this is easier said than done, and I know. And a lot of people say, oh, I've tried and it didn't work out. I've eliminated cannabis from my house and then I went ahead and bought it. So what else can I do? So that leads me to the second thing you can do to start dealing with your cannabis dependency, and that's start tracking your usage. And I'll go all the way to even say start a cannabis journal and write in it everything that has to do with your cannabis consumption. Every time you smoke cannabis, write it down. Every time you feel the desire to smoke, write it down. Every time somebody offers you and you say no, write it down. Write what happens when you want to smoke but you're not smoking. Write what happens when you're feeling the anxiousness that's causing you to want to smoke. Why do we do that? Because something that happens when we smoke cannabis is there's a shift in the way we remember things. I'm not going to go into why, not in this video. I go into it in my course, Consciously High. That's a course to eliminate cannabis dependency, and I go in it in some of my publications. But there's something that shifts in our perception of reality that's causing a slightly different perspective of reality and also a shift in memory. And we obviously suffer from a short-term memory loss. And so there's this situation where we don't remember what we've committed to. We don't remember how we felt. So we have these moments of saying, hey, I don't want to smoke cannabis anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm not going to smoke this weekend. Or I'm only going to smoke this weekend and not going to smoke next week. And then Sunday comes and we're supposed to stop smoking, but we forget. Maybe we remember the commitment, but we forget how we felt. The intensity of the emotion, the intensity of what we chose to do is no longer there, and we forget. But if we write it down, there's a better chance we're going to remember. We can also refer back to it and look at it, and then we say, oh, right, wow. By reading it, the same emotion comes back, and we say, oh, wow, I was really emotional about this the other day. Maybe I want to do this. And so writing it down really helps because it also shows us the pattern of our use, and it brings us one step closer to being tired of it. And when we're tired of it, we stop. It's just the way it is. If we keep smoking, that means that the choice to keep smoking is stronger than the alternative. Right? And so that's the thing with cannabis addiction. It's different than any other addiction in the sense that it's mental. Just like I said before, when we travel and there's absolutely no access to it, we just let it go. And so as opposed to other substances like alcohol or even sugar, where we have physical withdrawal symptoms, here the withdrawal symptoms are purely mental. So I know it's hard, it's easier said than done, like I said before, and the anxiety comes up and all these kind of things, but then we can look into other methods to eliminate the symptoms for which we actually go to cannabis, okay? So start a cannabis journal and track your use, and that's going to advance you much faster towards that decision point. The third thing that you can do in order to eliminate your cannabis dependency is do some kind of a cannabis break, some kind of a tolerance break. A lot of people who use cannabis don't want to stop because they don't want to completely throw the baby with the bathwater. Maybe cannabis is a great tool to eliminate anxiety. Maybe it's a great tool for ideation. Maybe it gives them inspiration at work. Maybe it allows them to come up with different strategies for various situations. Cannabis shifts our perception of reality, and it changes the way we reason, changes the way we imagine things. It changes, obviously, our memory, like I said before. It changes the way we ideate. So there's a lot that we can do with it. It's an amazing tool. The problem is when it becomes a crutch. So a lot of people don't want to lose the tool. They just want to let go of the bad habit. And so stopping altogether is very daunting because you say, oh wow, I'm never going to be able to smoke cannabis again. People who smoke cannabis habitually know that it's like a good friend. And it's very hard to understand for people who don't smoke cannabis on a regular basis, who didn't really have that relationship with the substance. And so, we don't really, when we hear somebody who we can tell never held a joint in his life giving us advice, we say, yeah, right, But I know the feeling. It's hard. Now, if you take a short break, if you say, oh, I'm not going to smoke for 3 weeks, I'm not going to smoke for just a month, it's easier because then you say, hey, I know that at the end of this journey, I'm going to be able to actually go back to it if I so choose. And it's just easier. It's less daunting than to saying, I'm not going to do it for life. I have a good friend, somebody who's actually doing Consciously High right now, who stopped completely and said, I'm not going to touch it again. It impacted my life. It made me lazy. I'm done. And he was very successful for about 8 months. But then there was a moment of weakness and we forget what happened and boom. And so now he's back to it. So this decision to never touch it is kind of hard, and deciding to do it for a short period of time is actually not, it doesn't mean that you've lost the battle. It just means that you're realistic about your relationship to the substance and you want to redefine it. Now, if you tried to do that and you had a hard time as well, maybe you need a little bit of help. Maybe you need somebody to walk you through the process. And for that, I would actually really recommend Consciously High, where you can find it on weedoutthehabit.com. The whole idea behind Consciously High is to reform your relationship to cannabis so that you're no longer using it habitually, but rather using it only as a tool when the time is appropriate. And for everybody, it's different. So I walk you through some kind of a process that allows you to evaluate your relationship to the substance and eliminate this struggle of like, do I want to smoke? Do I not want to smoke? And come up with some kind of a method to handle your dependency on it. And just kind of let go of it altogether. Have a relationship of authority, have a relationship of command with this amazing tool that is so available to us right now. And it's becoming really, really potent, right? So if you feel like this is for you, go ahead and check out weedoutthehabit.com. And if you want to completely stop using cannabis altogether, it will help you as well. The whole idea is that you walk out and you have the choice of what you're going to do. So evaluate these 3 methods to start dealing with your cannabis dependency right now, and I wish you the best of luck.